Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee and today we are back on my island Rubble for another speed build video. If you're new to this series, Rubble is my abandoned post-apocalyptic island and today we're building an abandoned playground. I actually really like how this build turned out, so let's get right into the build. So to start this build, I'm laying down a small block of the in-game dirt pathing. I think all the playgrounds I've been to before always had sand or mulch on the ground, so I thought it was fitting for this build. And if you're curious, this is where we're building this area today, so this is right behind the train tracks and right to the left of our graveyard, which leaves us with only 4 main builds left on this island. I will be blocking off 3 of the 4 sides of this build because I don't want it to be a transition area. It's just going to be a little spot that you can walk around in, but it won't lead you anywhere. This is a relatively small playground, so there's only going to be 3 main attractions. We have this big jungle gym item, and I tried using the one that looked the most worn down. And then we have our soccer goal, and in the front little area we're going to have our 2 springy ride-on horses. Like I said, we're going to have most of the sides of this build blocked off, so in the back I'm placing a row of the vertical board fencing. I just love this fence so much and I haven't been able to use it on this island so far because it is pretty kidcore-like, but I figured if I could use it anywhere it would be on this playground. And I am leaving 2 spots open in the fencing because I'm going to be adding some trees here to make it a little bit more visually interesting and have it not just be a plain long fence. And then in this little area kind of next to and behind the soccer goal, I'm adding a drink and snack machine and tucking that in with a large young hardwood tree. Next to our playground, I'm laying down some of this wooden deck code, and this will be for the base of our little pavilion. All of the playgrounds I've been to before always had these bathrooms that were always kind of sketchy and scary looking when I was a kid, so I wanted to build a building next to our playground to resemble those buildings from my childhood. And this building is super simple and easy to make. We have a gazebo in the center, and then in the front and back we have 2 storefronts side by side, and then just 1 storefront on each side of the gazebo. After our pavilion was built, I went through and added some of our custom designed dirt pathing through the build. And now I'm going around and adding some of our smaller trees and our shrubs and flowers. When I first built these train tracks, I wanted the end to be cut off and not visible, but now since our playground goes a little farther over than I expected, I want the train tracks to look like they were supposed to stop here. So we do have our metal greatcoats at the very end, and then I'm just adding 2 of our steel fences on top of those. And I think just adding these 2 items make it look a little bit more finished rather than just like a randomly ending train track. And now it's time to move over to the front of this build where this area meets the back of the train tracks. And for this area, I'm starting by adding a bunch of trees in varying stages of growth mixed in with some shrubs and flowers. We will be adding a few items to this area, but that will be a little bit later on in the video. Also, a pro tip if you're creating an island or a build with a bunch of trees, especially if you're using stunted trees, is to create a mini tree farm or a storage area. Having a bunch of trees ready to go makes the decorating process a lot easier because you don't have to time travel to see your final product. And if you didn't know, you can stunt a tree's growth by planting a fruit in the surrounding 8 tiles. This does have to be one of the fruits that you can get as a starter and not a coconut though. But I do think it's worth it to do a little tree prepping before you actually build. In between the trees, shrubs, and flowers, I'm also adding in a few weeds and some custom codes, mainly sticking to the rocks and leaf codes, since this is a natural area. I also saw these spoiled turnips on the ground and immediately had the idea to hide them behind the jungle gym to hopefully get the ants to walk across the dirt in front of our hardwood tree. I don't know if this will actually show up in a dream address, but I think it would be cool if it did. Then I made this little dirt path to lead from our main road over to our playground. And for this part of the build, I kind of just ran through the build, and wherever I saw an empty spot, I went over to try to fill it up. I like running through the build to do this because it gives multiple angles, and areas may look a little bit more empty from a certain angle than others. Like I said before, this area won't be a transition spot, so over by the pavilion I'm blocking this side of the building off using a combination of the wood log and the trees and shrubs. Looking back on this, adding the wood log should have been my last item to place in this build because then it made it difficult to decorate this side of the building because I kept having to run around the building a bunch of times. But to decorate in front of our sketchy pavilion, I added 2 oil barrels next to our phone booth, and then next to our public benches I added a trash can and a stack of tires. Now I'm just going through and densing up the perimeter of our build with some more trees. Now I'm going through with some actual items to add in a few details around the build. This small little nook in between the trees, I wanted it to feel like where the teenagers used to hide all of their paraphernalia, so we have a few boxes, some spray paint, and a stack of magazines. In my mind, the teenagers would come to hang out at the playground, but hide all of their stuff they shouldn't have in the nearby woods so their parents wouldn't find out. After running through the build, I wasn't loving the tree setup in this small corner, so I just went through and swapped them out. I still don't really love this area, so I might go back and swap out the smallest hardwood tree for a tiny cedar tree, but for right now it's fine. Here is our final build. But that's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Before you leave, make sure to give the video a like, comment, and to subscribe to the channel. If you watched till the end of the video, let me know in the comments if your childhood playground also had a sketchy pavilion. Bye, friends!